Hello, welcome friends. Welcome to your own channel on artificial intelligence and machine learning. We are learning SQL programming. What are we trying to build is a physical data model for an education institute. And as we build this physical data model, we are learning the data definition language. You know, in SQL, we have three types of statements: DDL, DML, and DCL. We are currently in the DDL phase. We have already learned data types. We have seen how to go about creating a table. We have seen how to drop a table, alter a table. While we have done a lot of these DDL statements and we have learned null constraint, not null, primary key, check, default, but still we have to see how to put a foreign key, how to apply unique key. Then there are certain concepts which are not mentioned here. Auto increment. So there is still a lot. If you see, a create statement itself has so many things to be learned. So let's get started. Back to our MySQL workbench. Let me scroll up what we have done so far. We have created a students table. We have created a courses table. So two tables we have created: students, courses. We inserted some dummy data in students table. So let me run select star. Yes, we have some dummy data. And we created a courses table. And here we learned lots of things. And we inserted one record in the courses table. And we applied lots of other alter table syntaxes, alter table, add column, drop column, modify column. Here there are certain syntaxes to insert some dummy values. These syntaxes are, the insert values are too long. Probably the one who is seeing the screen on YouTube may not be able to see it. So what I'll do is I'll just make this insert statement come in one line. As I make it, you can pause the video when you are going to type and insert some of these dummy records. Okay, for your benefit, I'm making these changes. Practicing the syntaxes is very essential. Only when you practice the syntax, you can learn syntaxes. Concepts are always important. Okay, concepts are always important. Syntaxes you should know at a broad level at any given point of time. You should go ahead, see internet, Google search, and you can get the syntax. So here I'm going to select these insert values, go ahead, execute it. 10 rows I have inserted in the courses table. Okay, now we have to create a third table. So if I go and show back on the screen here, we have created student table, we have created courses table, we have to create a third table which is trainer. Okay, create table, trainers, trainer ID, integer, name, gender. Feel free to add more columns if you want. Now here there is a slight variation in the syntax. You would have noted the primary key is mentioned at the bottom. I could have kept a primary key here also, like this. My syntax could have been this way. If I mentioned primary key over there, then I can have this syntax written like this. Or I can mention primary key later on. Now you may think, why is such an option given where we can have primary key written here? Please understand, most of the tables that we have been creating, we have one column as a primary key. What if combination of two column together is a primary key? Okay. In that case, you cannot have, say there are two columns, trainer ID, and for the sake of discussion, I add one more column, PAN number. Together is a primary key. This is just a column to explain. I cannot write these two column primary key like this. In that case, I'll have to have this column coming here, and I cannot give primary keyword here. Okay, so that's the reason why you have these different variation in syntaxes. Okay, having explained that, let's go ahead, create our trainer table. Okay, I select this, shift control enter, the trainer table is created, and insert certain values here. So we'll insert few records, and here these are some records which I'm inserting. Yeah, the syntaxes which are not completely visible, I'm just wrapping it around so you can have the entire syntax. Yes, so this is the insert syntax. Let's go ahead, insert some dummy records, and somewhere here below I should get a message. Let me scroll it up now. Yeah, 11 rows affected. So okay, so we have created the third table. Now we have to create a fourth table, batches. Now here, when we are creating this batches, what is the concept? You have a course. Say you have a course to teach Excel or Python or machine learning. You have these courses. Course are programming basics and model development, advanced topic of Microsoft Excel. Okay, you have such courses, data science with R, advanced Excel, everything in Tableau and so forth. Now for these courses, you will have batches, which means when you create a batch, the batch is for which course. You have to relate the batch with the course. Okay, so here we see that for a given batch, for a given course, I can have many batches. See the notation. The notation is something like this. This is called a crowfoot. And here it is saying that this is the indicator 1 and the crowfoot is indicating many. So the relation between course and the batch is that of 1 to many, which means one course can have many batches. And how are these two tables related with each other? The two tables are related by this common identifier, course, which is coming here. Okay, so they are related based on course ID. When you established a foreign key relation, please ensure whatever column name you give here, you should use the same column name here. Now, a wrong design which many times I have seen, the identifier column is named as ID, the identifier column name is named as ID, the identifier column name is named as ID, the identifier column name is named as ID. Everywhere you name the identifier as ID only. I don't know whether I should call it a wrong design or right design, but I don't subscribe to this approach. I would like to prefix the table name and the same column name I would like to give it here. If you give this ID, here you already have an ID, which means these two IDs cannot be linked. So here you definitely give course ID, but now you will not be able to link this course ID is for this ID. Okay, I hope you understand the point. So preferably give the prefix of the table name to the ID so that when you establish a primary key foreign key association, the column name remains same. Okay, this is my way of designing. Some people may not subscribe to this viewpoint. It's okay. Now here we are creating a batches. Now I give batch ID as a primary key. Now see the new keyword auto increment. Auto increment suggests that the value in this column should be automatically incremented. We will see practically what this auto increment means. For now, auto increment. Then you already know course ID, not null, and all of this. Finally, we have to establish a foreign key. So what we are saying that this course ID column actually is a foreign key and it references the courses table, the course ID column from the courses table. Now, if you put a foreign key constraint, what does it mean? It means that assume you have a course, some records in this course table. I'm putting those records somewhere here. And what are the records? Because we have these records, we inserted in courses table. Yeah, so our identifiers we gave as 1001 and so forth. So there are courses with identifier values as 1001, 1002, 1003, and like this we went up till I think so 1011 or 12. Okay. Now I am trying to insert a record in batches. Okay. Now in this batches, when I try to insert, I give the course ID value as say 1050. But this 1050 does not exist. Any record in the courses table does not have course ID 1050. This insert will fail. Why? Because there is a foreign key relationship and the foreign key says that the values of course ID which are present in courses table, only those values can come in this course ID column. No other column values can be existing here. Okay, that is the interpretation of foreign key. So here we are making this table. Let me go back to the syntax. The batches syntax, yeah. Here we are saying this course ID will have a reference to the courses table course ID, and that will establish the foreign key association. So here we learned foreign key. Let's go ahead, execute the create table syntax. Shift Control Enter. There's a shortcut. By now, I'm sure you would have learned it. I don't like to keep taking the mouse here and then pressing the run execute button. Okay. We need to insert certain dummy values. So here is a set of dummy values which I'm going to insert. Yeah. So this is insert some 212, 213, 14. So these many records. Let me have these values going up. Yeah, the entire syntax is there on my screen. Shift Control Enter. Yeah, so these many records have got inserted, and when I inserted, I have ensured that these values are all matching to the courses table. And because they are all matching to the courses table, the query will successfully execute. 14 rows inserted. Okay. Now let's just go ahead and see the data in select star from batches. Last ID is 214. Now I'm writing one more insert syntax. In this insert syntax, please see I don't pass the value for the first column, which is the batch ID. I'm keeping it null. For rest of the columns, I'm supplying the necessary value. But batch ID is a primary key, and by default, primary key cannot be null, because the moment you declare a variable as primary key, it has unique values and it cannot be null. What will happen? Shift Control Enter. I inserted, and now let's go and see select star from batches and scroll down. The record which we inserted was 1010 2022 and these values. So these values are matching, and it says offline. This record is matching. Automatically the value came as 215. This is what is auto increment. The moment you say a column is auto increment, it will see last value which has been inserted, last value, and then increment from there. That's where auto increment comes into play. Now here, once again, I will insert one more record. Cannot add or update a child. Oh, this time I'm not inserting. Sorry, I'm not. Okay, what is the error? Sorry, my mistake. This time I'm inserting a new record, but this time I made a typo mistake. And instead of saying 1010, I said 10010. In the courses table, there is no course ID 10010. As a result, I get a foreign key constraint. Because of the foreign key constraint, this record did not get inserted. Okay, I hope you understood the foreign key concept. So the two concepts that we learned, one is auto increment concept. Second is foreign key concept. The referential integrity between the two tables is maintained by the foreign key constraint. Okay. So that is on the foreign key. We are now going to understand the new topic, which is mapper table, many-to-many relationship. Before I go into the syntaxes, let's go back to this visual diagram. What is many-to-many? I am a student and I have got a student ID, say 101. And there is a batch which is going to start. And this batch is, say, 211. I want to subscribe to this batch. As a student, I want to be subscribing to this batch. So my information that I have subscribed to this batch, somewhere in this table, my student ID should come. Now, if my student ID 101 comes here, one more column student ID will be put here. 101 with a student ID 101 will get inserted. Now there is another student whose student ID is 102. So if that student also wants to subscribe to the batch which is 211, then one more record, complete data will have to be added. In that case, batch ID will have to be duplicated. But batch ID is a primary key. As such, I cannot duplicate it. So let us see the reverse way. As a student, I want to subscribe to a batch. So I am 101 student ID and I want to subscribe to a batch which is 201. Okay, My batch ID can come here, no issue. There is another student who is 102 and that student also wants to subscribe to the batch which is 201. Okay, so long as you add a batch ID here and you put this number, it's okay. But the moment I say that my student ID as a student ID 101, I want to also subscribe to a batch where the batch ID is 203. In that case, one more data entry has to come in this table where my student ID will be 101 and 203. And this will break the primary key constraint on student ID. So you can see that the problem between these two tables, relationship, not the problem, is a wrong terminology. The challenge or the relation between these two tables is that a given student can subscribe to multiple batches. A given batch can have multiple students. So the association between these two tables is actually the business requirement is, this is a business requirement. The business requirement is that the relation between these two has to be a many-to-many association. If you have to create a database design which has many-to-many association, and if you end up creating a database design between two tables having many-to-many association, then that design is a wrong design. I don't have to think twice. If you ended up creating a design which has many-to-many association between two tables, you can upfront say it is a wrong design. But the business requirement demands that there has to be many-to-many association. To solve this problem, what we do is we create a mapper table. In this mapper table, I'll have student ID, I will have a batch ID, and a auto increment ID. Now, because it's a mapper table, I have kept ID as ID. I did not say student batch ID. Okay, because student batch ID does not make sense, because student ID is a separate column and batch ID is a separate column. That's where we use ID now. Now, as a student 101, I wanted to subscribe to a batch 201. Okay, make one entry. Student 101 batch 201. When I enrolled, all of these details you capture in one table. Okay, one row where I have 101, 201. As a student 101, I want to enroll in 203 also. Make one more entry. In a given batch 201, there was another student who wanted to come. So have that entry also. This two I can have combination and I can keep inserting. Now to ensure that these records are unique, I create a separate auto increment ID column. Why you should always have a auto increment or a primary key column? This kind of column I would typically make a auto increment primary key. Why you should always have a primary key? It need not necessarily be auto increment. The question I am again saying, why you should always have a primary key? The reason why you should always have in each table a primary key is to uniquely identify each record. If, for example, in this table there is a data 101, 201, student ID, batch ID, and assume the same student once again is enrolled two times in the same batch. Now there are two entries for a given student and a given batch, which is ideally a wrong design. I should make these two together as a unique key. But anyways, we'll see that unique key concept later. But assume I did not make a unique key and there are two records which are come up. I want to delete this record. If I want to delete this record, I will say delete from this table where student ID is equal to 101 and batch ID is equal to 201. But the moment I write this query, even this record will go off. Both the records will go off. But I wanted to delete only this. Now you can delete this record only by noting the ID value. What is the ID value for this record? And this is where the concept that each table should have one column which uniquely identifies the row, and typically that column we make as a primary key should exist. If you do not have a unique identifying record column, then your design of the table is also wrong. I hope these concepts are well understood. Now let's go ahead, create our mapper table. So the syntax to create a mapper table would be something like this. We have already understood the auto increment concept, and this time around we will have two foreign keys. One of the foreign key is the student ID, which refers to the students table student ID. Second is the batch ID, which refers to the batches table batch ID. So this becomes our student batch mapper. Again, usage of the table should be, naming of the table should be such that you specify that table such that you can quickly relate the parent tables between which you are creating the mapping, and this name mapper clearly understands and clearly explains that there was somewhere a many to many join requirement which you have solved by creating a mapper table. Table is created, 0 rows affected, great. Likewise, I require an association between trainer and a batch. A given trainer can teach in multiple batches. A given batch can have multiple trainers. So I require a trainer batch mapper. Okay. We'll go ahead. Before we create the trainer batch mapper, I mentioned that if I don't put a constraint, I can have 101, 201, 101, 201. This is student ID and batch ID. I can have a given student enrolling in the same batch two times. This can happen. Probably a student came, he enrolled. The clerk who is doing data entry, he did the data entry first time, and the clerk forgot that whether he has done the data entry or not. He again does a data entry. Okay. The data got inserted two times. You created an interface to insert the data. The person is using the interface, and from that interface you did not put the constraint that same combination cannot come multiple times. As a result, data will get inserted two times, which is a wrong design. So I should have made this combination as unique. What is unique? We are saying that a given column can be a unique, a combination of columns can be unique. Okay. Unique says that in this case, because we have two columns, we are saying the combination, a given student ID and a given batch ID cannot come two times, is what the unique constraint is. And I did not add the unique constraint here. I could have created this unique constraint here as well. I could have said unique key something, and like this, I could have put this upfront here. Even that's possible. There are various ways of writing syntax. I forgot to write that, so I did alter table. Now I try to do a insert into the student batch mapper, and here the comment says this query is going to fail because probably I'm violating a foreign key. But anyways, yeah, I'm violating it. Where is the violation happening? I don't know which violation I did. Probably a student ID does not exist or a batch ID does not exist. One of the two would be there. One of the two is violated as such. Before inserting some records, let me also say you that something more on the unique key. Now, here we have created a table as student. Where is the student? Here we created a student. And here, assume one of the field that I ask is Aadhaar number. In India, we have this Aadhaar number, which is equivalent to like a social security number, unique identifier for each citizen, right? So I add Aadhaar number and I put a constraint null, which means it can have null value. What it means is a student comes up and he is not okay to share the Aadhaar number, and I say unique. What it means is, and I forgot to mention the data type, int and probably Aadhaar number are 12 digits. Int should handle. If int is not able to handle, there is a 4 bytes. I don't know the range. I don't recollect. Yeah, so I'll make it big int. Okay. And I also have PAN number, which is varchar. So probably I want the student should share either Aadhaar number or a PAN number, one of them. Now, if one of them has to be shared, in that case, if someone has shared PAN number and not Aadhaar, Aadhaar can have null. But if someone has shared Aadhaar and not the PAN number will be null. So I put the null. But what this unique says that a given Aadhaar number in that entire table, either it can be null, it's okay. But if it is not null, if it is actual Aadhaar number, then a given Aadhaar number cannot repeat. And if someone has given a PAN number, a given PAN number cannot repeat. Okay, so what you have to understand is a column, if you have put a constraint unique, that column can have null in it. But if it has a value, the value cannot be, same value cannot be there for in two different records because of the constraint unique. Okay, so that's the more detailing on unique. Okay, now let's go ahead and insert, because we created the table. Primary key cannot have null, unique key can have null. That's an important difference between primary key and unique key. Okay, second important difference between a primary key and unique key is, in a primary key automatically a clustered index is created, whereas in a unique key a non-clustered index is created. Indexing is a wide topic and a very important topic, but at a high level, as I was scrolling, I gave you two important differences between primary key and a unique key. Primary key cannot have null values, unique key can have null values. On a primary key, automatically a clustered index is created. On a unique key, a non-clustered index is created. We will be discussing clustered and non-clustered indexes later on. For now, let's go ahead, insert some dummy records in our student batch mapper table. These are some dummy records. Okay, I've executed. This circle is going on. It's completed, which means my message should be there. 13 rows affected. Data is inserted. And finally, the trainer batch mapper. This is the table query. There's nothing more to learn here. New, auto increment, primary key, references, foreign keys. We have learned all of that. So there is nothing new to explain here. We'll just go ahead, run the syntax, create our trainer batch mapper, and we'll insert some dummy records. Okay, so here is the insert syntax. Let me just scroll down so you can see the entire insert syntax on one screen. Yep. Okay. Let's insert these records. Okay, the query seems to have executed. Yeah, 14 rows affected. We have already spoken about the unique key, and once again, I forgot No, this unique key we have already created in the student batch mapper. So I can skip it. Alter table student batch mapper. This is what we already created. I should be writing a unique key here, not on student batch mapper. I should be writing it on trainer batch mapper, right? Trainer, that's the table name. We are associating trainer with a batch. So I should be creating a trainer batch, alter table, trainer name, trainer batch mapper, table name, add constraint, constraint name. You can give a name to the constraint. So unique key, and I'll say trainer batch. Unique, what should be the unique? The combination of trainer ID and batch ID should be unique. So I need to replace this by trainer ID, batch ID. Go ahead, run the code. Yes, because when I inserted this data, these combinations were all unique. The constraint did not fail and the query got executed. In case I would have inserted a record, something where this constraint would have failed. For example, let me drop this constraint. Alter table, table name, drop constraint, constraint name. The beauty of giving a constraint name, this syntax should work, I hope. Drop index, need a foreign key constraint. Okay, cannot drop index, needed a foreign key constraint. Okay, why it is cannot drop index? Okay, okay, it's saying that okay, you are trying to drop a constraint which is needed in a foreign key. Okay, so any constraint which is needed in a foreign key, then I will have to drop the foreign keys. What it means is I'll have to drop these foreign keys and then drop the constraint. Okay, otherwise it would have worked. Okay, anyways, you can drop a constraint something like this. Okay, there are important concepts about indexes, clustered and non-clustered. We will discuss that in our next session. Okay, what is clustered index, what is not non-clustered index? We'll park this topic. Now I need to talk about one more important point, that is null and unique key. I said that in a given column, if you have declared as a unique, for example, Aadhaar number, it can have null value. Now, how come a Aadhaar number column have two nulls? Because null and null repeating, then how come they are unique? The reason they are unique is two null are not same. Two null is not same. For example, if I say infinity, one of the value is infinity and second value is one of the variable is infinity and second variable is infinity. Can I say infinity equal to infinity? No, I cannot say infinity equal to infinity because we don't know the values. Let me give another example. In a given shelf, there is something unknown. In a given shelf, I have put something which is unknown. In another drawer, I have put something which is unknown. Now both of them are unknown. Can I say unknown is equal to unknown? No, I cannot say unknown is equal to unknown. So similarly, I cannot say null is equal to null. So if I run this syntax, this is a case when syntax, we will come across all of this later. But if I try to compare whether one null is equal to another null, then if it is null is equal to null, it should show true, else it should say false. If I run this, it will say false. So two null are not equal. That's why if you create a unique key column and you declare the column to be having null values, it can accept null because two nulls are not same. But if it has a value, then the value cannot repeat in a unique key. Okay, I hope you understood this concept. Great. With this, we have covered a lots of concepts on database, and important concepts that we have covered in this part of the session is the mapper table, why we require a mapper table, and a unique key constraint, and auto increment, and foreign key. So good number of things we have completed as part of the session. We have created so many tables. How do I get this structure of the table? How do I see it? There is something called reverse engineering feature in MySQL Workbench. We will use that reverse engineering feature to create this view. We'll see all of that in our upcoming session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's your own channel on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Thank you.